Have you ever been desperate? Desperate in a way that you can do anything. Personally, I have ever been very desperate. I needed to save something, and I was so desperate that I needed that thing. And my desperation would take me to, I would pray about it, and the more I prayed about it, the more it went from worst to the worst. And so desperation was really knocking on my door. And actually, was it knocking on, desperation was with me. And I became desperate, almost becoming depressed. So when I talk about depression, I know what it means. Those are some of the phases that I have gone through. And I went through those phases, and yet I was a psychologist. And that's why I keep on saying desperation and depression knows no profession. Now, I'll not share what pushed me to that desperation. I know some of my friends know. However, one of the things that I learned on my journey to recovery is that you have to sit down and reflect and ask yourself many questions. And one of the questions I asked myself, am I desperate because I needed that thing, or I'm desperate because I have attached that thing to my happiness? And that is where I came to learn that most of the time we define happiness with the materials. We define happiness with the things that people have put across. Maybe happiness because you are married, happiness because you have children, happiness because you have a good career. I'm happy because, and I came to realize that is not happiness. And so in my journey to recovery, I learned a lot of so many things. One, for me to recover and to heal, I learned that happiness have to come from within. I mean, I have to define that happiness. And I have to stop thinking and stop fearing what people will say. Because we fear what will other people say. When I said enough is enough, whatever anyone want to say, it's my life, I am not sleeping, I am becoming depressed, to an extent of seeing a psychiatrist, and I said no. So I started redefining myself. I started looking at things in a different way. And that was my journey to recovery. So I want to encourage somebody there who could be desperate, who have prayed and you have and you think, does God listen to me? Those were some of the questions that I was asking myself. But I realized part of my healing was the peace of God. You know, the peace that God gave me to help me to reflect and to help me to ask myself many questions like, am I doing this because of me? I'm not happy, but I'm forcing happiness. I'm not happy, but I want to go out there and show people that I am happy. I want to go out there and give a testimony of how things are going on well. Until I stopped thinking what people will say, is when I started recovering and my desperation went down and down. Maybe whatever I was trusting God never went to the direction that I needed, but it went to the direction that God wanted. And that was the beginning of my healing. So are you out there and you're desperate and you're feeling like you're depressed? Go take analysis of your life. Ask yourself, are you defining happiness and what people say by the material things? So the moment you are happy from within, you get your power back. So that's something else that I learned, that we become desperate and depressed because the power within us is gone. And everybody has a power within themselves. I realized I had a lot of power, but I had traded that power to desperation. And you know what happens? Desperation feeds depression. So my desperation was feeding depression. So the moment I took my back, I snatched my power back to myself, and I started reasoning to myself. I started reasoning critically. I stopped being emotionally. I realized that was the beginning of my healing. So are you desperate? Are you depressed out there? Take your power back. Sit down. Analyze yourself. What do you want? Are you desperate because of other people, or you're desperate? Are you happy because you are happy, or you want to be happy when you get something? So being happy is from within. Get your power back. And when you have your power back, you can make very good decisions. And you can say, I made very good decisions. Here I am. And God has been faithful. Thank you. Have your power back.